Welcome aboard Just Jets with your captain, Matt O'Leary. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Hello and welcome to episode number 46 of Just Jets. What's going on? I am your host, Matt O'Leary, here to talk some New York Jets football. And did we get some nice news yesterday? I don't know if it was really news, unless you consider the sun coming up some news, but it's been said Adam Gase is not coming back as head coach of the New York Jets. It's good to get it in writing because that is something that's been a fear for a very long time, and Jets fans have been, well, pretty upset for a long time, and we're going to get into all that, your voicemails, and more in this episode. But first, I wanted to talk to you about Manscaped, the leading brand in men's below-the-belt grooming. You can head on over to manscaped.com, pick yourself up a Lawnmower 3.0, a Weed Whacker, or how about some cologne? They just sent me some cologne. I'm absolutely loving it. You just, little squirt. That's all you need. 1-2 squirts at most. Rub it in. You smell tremendous. I absolutely love it. I've been using it like crazy. If you got some money from the holiday season or a gift card and you want to spend it on something, manscaped.com. Promo code JETS20 gets you 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. That's promo code JETS20. So check it out if you're interested. And now we could jump into the episode where Adam Gase is not coming back. According to Craig Carton of WFAN, the Christopher Johnson-led New York Jets have decided to move on. They had a meeting with other executives, and it's pretty much well known in the building that Gase is not going to be coming back. Fully expect him to coach this upcoming week 17 against the Patriots, and then get fired after the game on Black Monday after the season. Now, some were semi-concerned with Adam Gase if they won the last 3 games. Would they bring him back? Would they do the unthinkable and let him get another run with a new quarterback? Or will Joe Douglas keep him around because of their quote-unquote friendship? He did not get the job done in his first 2 years here with the New York Jets. Even last year, they went 7-9, but that was a phantom 7-9. They beat up on some pretty awful teams at the end of the year. Their last 2 wins came against Pittsburgh with Duck Hodges, their third string quarterback starting, and then in Week 17, the Bills rested their starters because they had a playoff spot all secure. So the last 2 wins, that's really like a 5-11 team turned into a 7-9 team. They also beat up on the Giants, who were pitiful last year. Washington football team was awful. They had that random win against the Dallas Cowboys. And yeah, there were some good performances in there, no doubt about it. But more often than not, this team was losing games that they weren't supposed to lose. For example, they lost to a winless Dolphins team. They also lost to a winless Bengals team. Adam Gase has just been an awful performer on the road. Yes, they have that surprising win against the Rams this year, but they have 3 road wins in 2 years, and each one of those are very strange. You had the one upset win against the Rams this year. Last year, they beat Washington on the road, and then the Buffalo in Week 17 performance last year with everyone resting their starters. So this is going to be a very interesting offseason for who the next coach is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a big name guy. Like, I would love Matt Campbell, but I don't know if he's coming out for the number 2 pick. PJ Fleck is supposedly someone who has drawn some interest. If the Jets would go that route, that would be interesting, but I would be surprised, I think, if it's one of the top premier guys. Like, I don't think Bill Cowher's coming now without the number 1 pick, and that really makes a huge difference because the Jets are locked into pick number 2, which a little disappointing. We've talked about it on the post-game shows and on last week's show, but to me, the decision is still obvious. I think you have to go with a quarterback with how Sam Darnold has played this year. I don't have a ton of confidence that he's going to figure it out in year 4, even with a new coaching staff and an improved roster. His mechanical flaws are just scary in year 3, and I don't know if that's something that's going to be able to be fixed. Maybe he could figure it out somewhere else, but I don't know if I'm willing to take that risk. And the same thing goes for Joe Douglas and whoever the next coach is. Like, is Joe Douglas going to want his potential one chance as a GM to ride on Sam Darnold figuring it out in year 4, or is he going to want to take his own guy with a top 2 pick in the NFL draft? And is that coach who's potentially either their last shot if it's a retread or their first opportunity if it's somebody, and it could be their first and only opportunity if it's someone who hasn't coached in the league before, are they going to want it on trying to fix Sam Darnold, or are they going to want to take their own guy? So I think I would be surprised at this point if the Jets stuck with Sam Darnold. Yes, I saw the rumors this week that a lot of people were saying, I believe it was U Stadium had a report too, that the Jets will be sticking with Sam Darnold. I don't know how you could possibly say that at this point when you don't know who the head coach is going to be for next year, and there's so much still up in the air. I would think it would be a mistake, but we'll have to see. The good news is that Adam Gase is only going to be with this team for not even a week, 5 more days at most. His last game as a head coach is coming up in just a couple of days, and to me, that's the biggest thing. That's something to be excited about because I, like many, I'm not saying that I was unique in this view. I certainly wasn't. Everyone seemed to be extremely upset when he was hired. I was peeved. You had Matt Rule in the building. You had Mike McCarthy in the building. I was not a McCarthy guy, but I don't think McCarthy would have been as bad as what Adam Gase has been over the last 2 years. Matt Rule is someone I would have been extremely excited about. He interviewed Todd Monken. He had Cliff Kingsbury on the list, and somehow, someway, Adam Gase was the choice. It never made any sense, but good on Christopher Johnson for realizing his mistake. He should have let go of him after the first year. He should have fired him after the Denver performance, but the Jets don't fire coaches midseason. It's been an utter disgrace what he's done to this franchise and how much he has ruined the potential franchise quarterback in Sam Darnold. Just the lack of creativity on offense, the stupid decisions, the alienating of big-time players. The same things we saw in Miami made its way to New York as well, and I hope he never works in the NFL again. Adam Gase does not deserve to be a ball boy for a team in the NFL. He needs to go very far away with Dowell Loggins. Neither one of those two guys should be working in the NFL going forward. Or if they do, make it for a division rival, sure. Ruin whatever franchise quarterback they potentially have. But I am really looking forward to never hearing the name Adam Gase and Dowell Loggins ever again, because what they did over the last 2 years is truly remarkable. I thought you couldn't do worse than Todd Bowles as a head coach. And don't get it twisted, Todd Bowles was a terrible head coach, but somehow, some way, they figured out to outdo themselves and bring in someone even worse in Adam Gase. So it's going to be an interesting offseason of discussion because we got what do they do with the head coaching position, what do they do with the quarterback position, free agency, the draft, a ton of assets, 2 first-round picks, potentially 2 second-round picks if you decide to move on from Sam Darnold. It's going to be a very busy offseason, but I'm excited for it. You should be too. And the fact that we are finally free from that disaster in Adam Gase, it's coming, and I'm excited for it. So with that, let's get into the voicemails, and let's talk about this week in Jetsland. All right, first up, we're going to go to Max in Jersey, wants to talk Zach Wilson.
Hi, this is Max from Holmdel, New Jersey. I'm very disappointed that the Jets won a game because we lost Trevor Lawrence and the number 1 overall pick in the 2021 draft. So I want to talk about why the Jets should draft Zach Wilson.
Okay.
So I feel like the Jets should have lost this game and keep the number 1 overall pick, but the Jets are the Jets. The Jets, we got the number 2 overall pick. I think the Jets should draft Zach Wilson at BYU. People go, we can't get Trevor Lawrence, just keep Sam Darnold. But Sam Darnold has been playing so bad this season. Would you rather have a second worst ranked quarterback in the NFL or someone like Zach Wilson, who is a riser? And I really think, I made a YouTube video about why the Jets should draft Zach Wilson. I was watching highlights of Zach Wilson, and he reminds me of a smaller Josh Allen that he can use his legs and make these and Patrick Mahomes, since he can make ridiculous throws. Do you think the Jets should draft Zach Wilson and go Jets?
Yeah, I'm really high on Zach Wilson. He's my second quarterback in this draft over Justin Fields. I'm not necessarily anti-Justin Fields. I just like Wilson a little bit better. I think he has traits that reminds me of Patrick Mahomes in college. I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes in the pros. That's a completely different animal, and it's not fair to compare someone to Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers, which we've seen a lot of comparisons to for a ton of different prospects. But what makes Zach Wilson so interesting is the ability to throw from different arm angles. Yes, he's able to run. To me, I think he's more of a taller version of Kyler Murray with a bigger arm. I don't think he has quite Josh Allen's arm, but he does have an extremely strong arm and can make any throw on the football field. To me, his con is he can get into habits of forcing the ball. If you want to look at what Justin Fields' con is, I think he struggles to read a defense at times. So none of these quarterbacks are without a flaw, but I would bet on Wilson's being able to be fixed rather than someone like a Justin Fields. That's just my preference. And with Sam Darnold, we've seen these mistakes for 3 years now. And in his first year, he was not nearly as bad with his footwork as he is now. We saw the footwork take a step back this past year, and we haven't seen the decision-making process take a step forward. The stats have took a wild step backwards. I know circumstance plays a factor in this, but if we're just putting it all on Adam Gase, who's around him and stuff like that, I don't think that's completely fair. I think that would be discrediting just how poorly Sam Darnold has played this year. He's missed open receivers. The footwork is just really bad, and some of the decision-making has been bad. In the last 2 weeks, I don't think he's been anything that really jumped off the page at you. I mean, the performance against the Rams was probably his best game, and he threw for 207 yards. That's like, I don't know, like Alex Smith-esque or Jimmy G-esque. A poor man's version of both of those guys, really, at this point. But yes, there's still talent there with Sam Darnold. I just don't know if he's going to be able to reach his full potential because of the mechanical flaws. And he seems like he's playing scared to me. So I'm not opposed to taking Zach Wilson at all. Next up, we're going to go to Ben in Jersey with some reaction.
Hey, Matt. Ben from Jersey here. So, another lost season. The dream of getting Trevor Lawrence to the Big Apple officially shut down.
Yep.
Due to arrogance from Adam Gase for winning, and the Jags benching Gardner Minshew to ensure they get the loss. It's sad, but there's no change in like what we should do in the draft here. We still have to draft a quarterback.
Agree.
People say Sam Darnold has been good the last 2 games. He can't throw deep. It seems like all he does is check it down. Seems more of a game manager, like a Jimmy G or like an Alex Smith or something like that. No one who's really going to light up the scoreboard. So here's what I'm thinking. So right now we're locking to the second pick. That's what we're doing.
Right.
And right now the Cincinnati Bengals, who just beat the Texans earlier, are sitting at the 6th pick. Now the Bengals, their biggest need is definitely tackle. They want to protect Joe Burrow, who has been banged up due to the incompetence of the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, I feel like Zach Wilson might be there at 6 still. But think about it. The Panthers just inked Teddy Bridgewater to a contract. I don't think they're going to get rid of him after 1 season. The Falcons, they probably would have traded Matt Ryan if they were going to take a quarterback, and they still have a lot of money left on his deal. So I'm thinking maybe the Bengals stay at even 5 or 6. So the Bengals, I feel like, since the Jets have a big need at tackle too, not as big as the Bengals, but still a need. I think that the Bengals might be willing to give up 2 first-round picks, or their second this year, multiple picks, to try to move up to that number 2 spot to draft Penei Sewell. So I'm thinking that if we guarantee that Wilson's still going to be there at 6, we make that trade Darnold for the Colts, and then build on from there. Because I feel like Sam, I love the kid. It would make more sense. I would love to get rid of him if he was an absolute Baker Mayfield, but it's just how it is at this point. Sam Darnold shouldn't be here next year. I think it's best for both parties.
Agree.
If we keep him, I don't want to try to do a tank for Sam Howell. And yeah, I just don't want any more misery from Darnold. I just want a fresh start with Zach Wilson.
I get it.
I feel like trading down with the Bengals could definitely help that. There's my reaction to the game, I think, and what I think we should do regarding Sam Darnold and draft. And right now, I guess, go Jets for dignity in Week 17.
Yeah, we can root for a Jets win because they're already locked into the second pick, so that can't change. So we can all root for the New York Jets to beat the New England Patriots in Week 17, which I think they do. I think the Jets win this game at this point with how both of these teams have been playing. I would not be shocked at all if the Jets won this game. I don't want to move back, because I don't think there's a guarantee. Right now, the order is Jacksonville, Jets at 2, Miami from the Houston pick at 3, Atlanta 4, Cincy 5. So if you were to switch spots with Cincinnati, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for Atlanta to draft a quarterback. I also don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for a team to try to trade up with Miami and get a quarterback in that spot as well. Maybe a team like Detroit would want to come up, or Carolina, or Denver. And I think it's extremely risky. And you said that if we can guarantee that Zach Wilson's there at 5, you can't. And if you're a quarterback needy team that already has a ton of assets, you have 2 firsts in this draft. If you trade Sam Darnold, you're likely having 2 seconds in this draft. You have 2 thirds. You have 2 fifths. You have a ton of picks in this draft. Why not take your guy who's going to be there? Because we know Trevor Lawrence is going 1. If you like Zach Wilson, take him at 2. If you like Justin Fields, take him at 2. I don't want to mess around and try to get cute with it because I think you're running the risk of losing your guy. If the Jets were desperately lacking picks over the next 2 years, then maybe you play that game, but I just can't wrap my mind around that with an abundance of picks the Jets have. So that's my take on that. Thank you, Ben. Next up, we're going to go to Roger and Comac with some reaction as well.
Matt, it's Roger from Comac. Just saw the Browns-Jets game, and I tell you, I'm not very impressed. Obviously, the Browns were playing without their top 4 wide receivers, so the Jets had to win that game. So yeah, it doesn't make a difference either way. Hopefully they'll win the next week too. I don't see why. It's not going to really matter to anyone. But as far as looking forward, I think the Jets need to do this. I think they need to keep Sam, not sign him to his 5th-year extension option, but just keep him for another year. Let him start. But in the draft, you got to take Zach Wilson. And just sit him, kind of do like the Chiefs did with Pat Mahomes and Alex Smith. Let the young quarterback just sit back there, observe, and absorb as much material as he can, work with the QB coach, which is another thing they need to do, is they need to hire a QB coach this time around. But yeah, just let him learn, let him absorb, let him just watch Sam and, take notes. And then as far as that second pick, I think they need to take that tackle out of Texas, Sam Cosmi. I'm hearing some things where people are saying they should take Penny Sewell. I don't think you should take a right tackle at the top of the draft. I just don't. I think that's bad drafting. You want a right tackle. You could take a 1st-round guy at the bottom of the draft. You don't want to do that. You don't want to waste the draft pick. But that's kind of my thinking. Let me know what you think, and go Jets.
Yeah, thank you for calling in, Roger. I personally can't keep Sam on the roster and draft a young quarterback also. I'm not quite sure what you want Zach Wilson to learn from Sam Darnold at this point. I don't think Sam, who's 23 years old, a young quarterback himself, has shown enough where you're like, oh, yeah, I want him to groom the next potential franchise quarterback. It's not like a Josh McCown situation. The Jets don't have the luxury of sitting their quarterback because they don't have a veteran who's a placeholder. You either keep Sam Darnold and roll with him and he's the guy, or you move on from him. I don't think you could have it both ways and play it down the middle because then I don't see how you could possibly expect Sam Darnold to play well. We saw it with Carson Wentz this year, what happened when the Eagles drafted a quarterback, and then that's a storyline all year. When are they going to go to Wilson? When are they going to go to Wilson? And at that point, if you decide, okay, yeah, Sam's not our guy, and then you just you let him walk and you don't get anything for him. I'd rather flip him for a draft pick if I decide to move on, and you move on from him now instead of waiting that extra year. So I can't get on board with that part of it, but I do like the idea of bringing in Zach Wilson. Next up is Bobby in California, who wants to talk about the NFL draft.
Hey, what's up, Matt? It's Bobby from California. Just calling in again. So, yeah, I was a little lost into that number 2 pick. I was just thinking about the possibilities for the draft.
Okay.
I watched your video the other day. I really like the idea of potentially drafting Penei Sewell. But I want to ask you this. With the Bengals winning today, we might be able to draft Penei Sewell like even a little later than 2nd overall. So what do you think about the idea of maybe flipping that pick to another quarterback needy team and then potentially drafting him and maybe getting another 2nd, another 1st even potentially? Just let me know what you think about that. Is that a possibility? Do you see him going farther than 2 or 3? Just let me know, and go Jets.
Yeah, thank you for checking in. I don't think he makes it outside the top 5. And so if you are trading back and keeping Sam Darnold, I think you are trading back and drafting a wide receiver. At that point, I would do this one of 2 ways. If you want Penei Sewell, you got to stay there and take him at 2. If you want to trade back and get more picks, then you're probably taking a wide receiver or offensive guard like Wyatt Davis. I don't think you'd be able to move back to who would you consider a quarterback needy team? If you're flipping with Atlanta, maybe you can get him at that point. But like Detroit's at 7, Carolina at 9, Denver at 10, New England at 14, San Francisco at 15. He's not going to be there. Chicago at 20, not going to be there. There's a lot of teams who could potentially need a quarterback, and I think you're trading yourself out of a Penei Sewell situation. If you move back to 10 with Denver, then okay, maybe you draft a wide receiver, Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, something like that. But from there, I don't think you're getting a Penei Sewell at that point. Next up is Eric on Long Island, wants to talk about Sam Darnold.
What's up, Matt? It's Eric from Long Island again. Listen, I'm hearing a lot of rumors or stuff on the radio that the Jets should keep Darnold, and anybody who's saying that seriously doesn't know the game of football. They need to just stop talking right now. I would rather have Mitchell Trubisky over Sam Darnold, and Trubisky sucks ass. He's terrible, okay? And that's saying a lot. He is not the answer. Like, we've won these last 2 games. He has had nothing to do with it. What, because he hasn't turned the ball over? Oh, he's a game manager. No, we need a real quarterback. Even the kid on the Bengals yesterday, the backup to Burrow,
Brandon Allen,
for 338 yards and 3 touchdowns. The backup. When's the last time Darnold's done that? When? He has no connection with Mims. He doesn't get it. I've been watching all the film on Zach Wilson on NFL Game Day. It gives you a lot of good information. And I see a competitive dude, a fiery dude, a guy with a stronger arm than Darnold. He's more accurate than Darnold. He's faster than Darnold. And I think the biggest thing, his mental makeup. He just seems to get it. I would stay away from Justin Fields. I really would. I think that'll be a disaster as well. But listen, I think Wilson will pan out. I think you might have like a Justin Herbert on your hands. That's what I wanted to say. And where the hell has Denzel Mims been? It's because Sam is in. When Flacco was in, we were all excited about Mims. I'd rather roll the dice with Joe Flacco as my quarterback than Sam Darnold. And that's really the truth. That's sad. He's not going to go somewhere else and succeed. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. Thank you and have a good day.
Yeah, Denzel Mims has definitely been quiet. The targets are way down. Against the Raiders, he had 3 targets, 4 against the Rams, 2 against Cleveland. I don't know how much of that's game plan, and I don't know how much of that is on Sam Darnold as well. In the Miami game, there were 8 targets. That was tied for the most, and he had 7 targets in the game against Buffalo when Sam Darnold played. So I don't know if this is on Darnold or if it's on the coach. I agree that the Jets can't run it back with Sam Darnold again this year, and it's for next year rather. And it's sad when you look at Brandon Allen come in and have the success that he's had over the last 2 weeks. And he's not in a perfect situation either. That offensive line stinks. He's playing with the corpse of A.J. Green, and he has the legendary head coach Zach Taylor. Like, that's not a great situation for him either. So excuses are definitely running low for Darnold at this point. Next up is, let's see, Jeff and Callie, and we are going to talk some offseason.
Hey, Matt, this is Jeff and Callie calling in. So after the Week 16 lock into the second overall pick, Trevor Lawrence dream is no longer a thing, and I kind of wanted to give you a scenario for what I think to be is an unpopular New York Jets offseason. But I think could really get us back to the roots of playing New York Jets football and really get back to where we were when we were going to the AFC Championship game. So we'll start with the quarterback. So we're keeping Darnold, and I'm not making any excuses for Darnold. He has been awful this season, terrible. But and don't get me wrong, I like Zach Wilson as well, the kid from BYU. I really do. But I don't think this is a situation that a rookie not named Trevor Lawrence can thrive in. So getting a guy in Zach Wilson from BYU or Justin Fields, which I'm not as high on, they're not going to really be that big of a step up from Darnold. So we keep Darnold, and we draft Penei Sewell. Now we got our bookend tackles. I would actually, in this scenario, move Becton over to right tackle and get more power over there. In free agency, we shore up the interior. We get one of the Thuneys or the Sheriffs of the world. And then with the Seattle pick, we go ahead and we take Travis Etienne. We go back to a power, I'm going to punch you in the mouth running game and play good defense. That is an option that people don't explore anymore in today's high-flying, throw it all over the field NFL. I mean, the Ravens do it, but that's pretty much it. But I don't know. I think that if we can really bolster up that offensive line, get those bookend tackles for the next 10, 15 years, shore up the interior a little bit, and draft a running back who will be not necessarily the focal point. You're not building around a running back because I know how stupid that can be. But he's going to be the highlight of the offense. And if you're Chris Johnson, right, you want to sell tickets. I mean, Saquon Barkley can sell tickets, right? And obviously, this isn't. As fans, we don't want to sell tickets. We want to win games. But I really don't think that a Zach Wilson or Justin Fields will do any better than Sam Darnold. So you might as well get something going, right? I don't know. I'm really grasping at straws here. Tough few wins the last 2 weeks, but let me know what you think of that mock off season. Thanks, Matt. Bye.
I can't. I don't know how a top quarterback prospect who's expected to go in the top 5, like Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, can't possibly do better than the worst starting quarterback in football right now in Sam Darnold. There's no other way around. There's no sugarcoating it. With how Sam's played, he's playing like the worst quarterback in football. Was he last year? No. Was he a bottom tier quarterback? Yeah, he's probably somewhere between 20 and 25. And I thought Sam was going to take that next step. Going into year 3, I was like, okay, I think he showed some signs where statistically he got better, play a full season, which he didn't do. His yards per game are way down. If he played a full 16-game season, he's on pace for like 2,800 passing yards. If we don't think that Justin Fields or Zach Wilson can outplay Sam Darnold, I don't see how that's possible. I don't. I can't build around the running back in 2020. It's not in today's NFL. The running back is becoming less and less important. It really is. Look at the good teams. Kansas City they drafted a running back in the late first round, but it's not because of what he's done. They are a high-powered passing offense. The Green Bay Packers are another high team ranked in offensive DVOA. They have Aaron Jones, but I mean, with Aaron Rodgers, they're throwing the ball a lot. I'm not saying you never run the ball, but I think you get that franchise quarterback, have a good offensive line, and protect him. There you go. I think we're holding on to 2018 hopes if we're still riding with Sam Darnold. This isn't the same quarterback that we saw in his first 2 years. He looks completely different. He really does. So I personally can't get behind that. Next up is Isaiah in Queens, who he wants to talk some Sam Darnold also.
What's up, Matt? I'm Isaiah from Queens, first-time caller.
Welcome.
Keep up the good work. Love your show.
Thank you.
I guess I'm just calling today to voice some frustration. I can't believe the amount of people who are willing to run it back with Sam Darnold next year. You know, I would go on ESPN, Jets Twitter, just all over the place. There's analysts, Jet fans, content creators that, you know, run Jet fan pages that are willing to run it back with Sam Darnold. I just don't get it because, you know, he's regressed tremendously over the last 3 seasons. He's obviously not the same quarterback he was his rookie year. It's year 3. He's making rookie mistakes. You know, I watched a video last week, great video analyzing, you know, Sam actual game film. And you see the film. It's like he's making error throws to covered receivers. He's running out of the pocket, not throwing the ball away, taking error sacks. He's missing open receivers. He's, you know, just doing things that cannot be corrected, at least I don't think, in year 3. And it's just ridiculous. And it's sad to see. I just don't get it. His footwork is atrocious. You know, I'm not a Sam hater, but he's regressed. And I'm just tired of hearing all the excuses. You know, he has a bad line, no receivers, no weapons, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this is his best offensive line that he's played behind in year 3. Yet he's playing his worst football. He has a Pro Bowl left tackle. I mean, if he needs an elite line, an elite receiving core, elite running back, elite head coach, you know, that's not a franchise quarterback in my eyes. He's not elevating his teammates around him. So that means he's just average at best. And if he's average at best, we need to move on from him because that's not why we drafted him. There's no reason to bring him back when we have, you know, Wilson or Fields available at 2. We're going to have either one of those guys on the rookie deals for 4 to 5 years. When if you bring Sam back, you got to pay him over $20 million a year. So I just don't get it. I'm just frustrated, and I know you agree with me. So I guess my question for you is, if you had to put a number on it, what's the percentage or how likely is it that Joe Douglas moves on from Darnold and drafts a quarterback at 2? Because I'm very hopeful, but I guess this is just for people in the back that just want Darnold back because it makes no sense to me. But, yeah, go Jets.
Thank you for calling in. I agree with what you're saying, Isaiah. I think it's upwards of 90%. Why would someone who's getting his first chance as a general manager say, I want to tie myself to the quarterback that I did not draft figuring it out in year 4? And what coach is going to come here and say, I want my first shot or I want my last chance, if it's a retread, to be on this year 4 quarterback figuring it out? The chances of that happening are extremely slim. They're going to want to take their own guy. And I understand it. We would be having a completely different conversation if Sam Darnold was playing at the level in which he was last year. If he played all 16 games, he was on pace to throw for 3,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, somewhere in that range, then that's a legitimate debate because you're probably not picking 2. If he's playing at that pace, you're probably, I mean, maybe this team's still bad. Maybe this is still a 5-11 football team, but then you're probably going, okay, yeah, we could run it back with Sam Darnold. He's been okay. He's been a middle of the road quarterback for us, but that's not the case. He is not a middle of the road quarterback right now. He's playing like a terrible quarterback, and it really sucks to see because in year 1, I thought he showed a lot of promise. In year 2, there were times where I was like, okay, this kid looks really good at times. Again, there were flashes of it, but then in year 3, he missed time again. He took a massive step backwards. The footwork is all out of whack. He looks like he's playing scared. I think he's broken. And are you going to bet on a broken quarterback figuring it out? I personally can't do it. And I don't think Joe Douglas is going to want to do it because he didn't draft him. And I don't think that the next coach is going to want to do it also. So I'm with you on that, Isaiah. Next up is the Ultimate Jet Fan. Wants to talk NFL Draft. Let's hear from the Ultimate Jet Fan.
Hey, Matt, what's going on? This is Felix Donez, none other than King Cabron, the ultimate Jets fan. You already know I'm always hype. I'm ready to talk football.
Love it.
I recently saw your video about, if we keep Sam Darnold, we should stay at number 2, draft a massive offensive tackle from Oregon and, the rest of the picks you were talking about. And, pick up a good wide receiver in free agency. But I'm going to beg the differ on that.
Okay, let's hear it.
If we're going to keep Sam Darnold, people are going to want that number 2 slot. We have to trade back and get more draft capital. And with whatever's available, whether it's a receiver, and wherever we pick, whether it's, number 7, let's say we trade back to 7 or trade back to 5 or wherever we're at after trading back from the number 2 spot, I would take the best wide receiver there. And you never know, maybe the tackle's still there, but if he's not, I'm going to take the best wide receiver. So I'm going to take Chase. I'm going to take Smith from Alabama. I'm going to take a weapon who can be a number 1 instead of going free agency for a number 1 receiver. So I take a top-notch receiver, and then in the 20s, I can get me a mean guard, a nasty guard, maybe that kid from Washington or,
Okay.
someone else. But that's what I would do. I would go wide receiver. I would go line to continue to build the line. And remember, we're going to have more draft capital. And as the draft goes on, we're going to have to get another receiver because I just think we lack talent. If you look at a lot of football teams, they have 3 to 4 really talented receivers. Okay? We need more speed on the team. Let's get another receiver. If not, how about this? If he's available at the top of the second round, give me Harris from Alabama, the running back, Najee.
Okay.
Let's put him back there. Let him pound the rock with a number 1 receiver like Chase or Smith. With another lineman. Now we're starting to build something. Now we're starting to look a little stronger, but we need weaponry. We need more than one offensive weapon in this draft. To me, Joe, the first draft, he dragged his feet. He took too long. Yes, I like Mims, but I knew Mims wasn't a number 1 stud. I knew that. And this week showed that he was shut down. He couldn't even release because it's not always about speed. It's about how you run your routes, and he's not good at running routes so far. So, like I said, trade back from the number 2 spot, grab a top-notch receiver, then draft another lineman. Oh, and listen, if we have to draft Najee in the 20s, at 27, I believe we're drafting from the Seahawk pick, then we grab him. Because remember, by moving back, we're going to have more draft capital. So we can still build that line. But imagine having a top-notch wide receiver like Jamar Chase or the kid Devontae Smith, and then grabbing Najee Harris to run the rock. Could you imagine that? And that's only in the first round? We need weapons.
I definitely understand that this team needs weapons. That's not... I'm with you 100% on that, man. The Jets need to add, whether it's through free agency or the draft. If you go that route and if you're trading back, you can sell me on getting a Devonta Smith there or a Jamar Chase if you move back. I think you can make the case for not taking the tackle at 2 because Fant's been pretty solid for the Jets this year. You can run it back with him at right tackle. I like the idea of addressing the interior. To me, the guard is the most important position the Jets need. I'm definitely not opposed to those ideas at all. Next up is Elias in Rochester, and we're going to talk some Sammy Darnold.
Hey, Matt, what's happening, man? This is Elias from Rochester. So, first thought on the game, it was kind of a snooze fest. I don't know, the Browns just didn't really they had a reason to not play well. They didn't have any receivers. So I wasn't extremely impressed with the Jets outside of, the defensive line.
D-line
so
was good.
My question is, also, I called in last time about, keeping Sam. Honestly, now you've kind of got me on the Zach Wilson train. I've been watching some of his stuff, and I'm really impressed by him. But my question is, if we roll with Sam Darnold, and let's say you want to go Penei Sewell, would it be an issue with him not being a right tackle, having to play him at right tackle? A lot of left tackles don't want to play right tackle from you don't get paid as much, and unless you're a right tackle for a lefty quarterback. But do you think that would be an issue? He wouldn't want to come here to play right tackle, or he would have to sit a year to transition from right tackle? And also, I think if Becton's going to get hurt a little bit, we really need to invest in a really good backup tackle because, my God, Chuma Doga is terrible. I'm joining your hype train of the Tume Doga sucks train because he is so bad.
Yep.
But anyways, man, no more go Jags because that's over with. But
They
hey,
blew
man,
it.
we'll get to root for a Jets game this week, so that should be good. So go Jets, man.
Absolutely.
Keep up the great work.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Thanks for checking in. Yeah, I'm with you on joining the Zach Wilson bandwagon. I'm glad to have you aboard. I don't know if you're going to be able to worry necessarily about Penei Sewell switching to right tackle. I think he can do it. I think we've seen right tackles transition to left tackles and so on and so forth. But I will say this. You can probably make the case that the Jets are better off trading back and going a different position than tackle. Because I don't think, if you look at the Jets' offensive line, I don't think either tackle's been bad. I think it's been the guard play that's been really killing them. So we'll see what they do. But if you are sticking with Sam, then maybe trade back. And we've seen Joe Douglas trade back in the past. So maybe that would be the play. So thank you for checking in. We're going to go to Phil in Brooklyn, wants to talk Zach Wilson.
Hey, Matt. It's Phil, Brooklyn, New York. How you doing, man? We're out. We lost. We we won, but we lost. Trevor Lawrence, no longer. Right. What I want to get to the point is I know you're a Zach Wilson fan. I know you are.
Yes.
I have one problem with Zach Wilson. Hear me out. I like
Okay.
the guy. I do. Personally, I think I would go Darnold, Wilson, Fields. That's just my preference right now. I don't know much about the two guys, so I need to research more. But Zach Wilson, when I watch some of his game tape, it seems like he has forever to throw. And, we've an okay offensive line. We have Mekhi Becton. Other than that, I can't think of anyone else. But I know we can build, but that's just one thing that I see struggling. Other than that, I know he can move around. I know he has a good pocket presence. But my big question is, who do you think we can get at head coach if we get Darnold or Wilson? Right? Personally, I really want Brian DeBelow, but
Brian Dable?
Would that change the outcome? I know we hired the head coach before we draft, but if we were to get Darnold, can we not get Brian DeBelow? But if we get Wilson, will we get Brian DeBelow? Who do you? Okay, I think you understand. I'm sorry, I can't.
No, I
can't
get you.
I can't really think of anything else to say. That was my question. Zach Wilson, here we come, or Darnold. Who knows? It's actually a huge mystery right now. Stay safe and go Jets.
I think, okay, so let's play the game for a second. Or if we have to fix Sam Darnold, Brian Dable would be a good choice. And Arthur Smith, I think, would be a good choice for what he's been able to do with Ryan Tannehill. I like both of those guys and would feel comfortable with them with a new quarterback also. So it's not necessarily you take one for one thing and one for another. If you're forcing Sam Darnold on someone, that might hinder you from your potential opportunities. But Wink Martindale is also a name that's been coming up a lot. I'm not necessarily opposed to him. I just think you'd have to bring in a good offensive coordinator if you're going that route, because he has such a heavy focus on the defensive side of the ball. But I don't think it's really going to matter one way or the other. And like you said, the coach just gets hired first. So I think whatever the coach wants to do, and the GM, that's what the Jets should do. My bet is that they will go with a quarterback of their own. We're going to go to Tim from Illinois, and thank you, Phil, for checking in. And he wants to talk coaching scenarios.
Hey, Matt. Tim from Illinois. Long-time listener. Love the show. Now that we're in the boat we're in, and the Jets did us like they did us, and we knew it was coming, and I really like Zach Wilson. I don't have anything against Justin Fields. My question to you is, who do you think are the best coaches in the two situations? The one situation we keep Darnold, who would be the best guy to come in and fix him? A guy like Arthur Smith, maybe from Tennessee, we get a big back and get really running the football and play action. And then bringing a guy like Fields or Wilson in, or maybe trade down, get a bunch of picks, get Mac Jones. Who would be the best type of guy for that? That's my question. Love the show, Matt. As always, go Jets.
Thank you. I kind of we answered this a little bit with Phil, but I think you can have overlap. To me, Smith and Dable would be good choices to fix Darnold. I think they would be good choices in general, but if you're going the other route, then I like Matt Campbell. I like PJ Fleck. There's a lot of Wink Martindale, someone who I'm okay with. But if you want to go with a younger offensive coordinator, maybe like Joe Brady, and pair him with a Marvin Lewis as a defensive coordinator, I think all those different routes are going to be interesting, and we'll see what they decide to do. But I think they're going to try to go college route, or someone who could be a overseer of everything. We'll see what they do, but I think I'd be surprised at this point if it's like a Joe Brady. Last question's going to go to Mike in New Jersey. He wants to talk about coaching.
Hey, Matt, this is Mike from North Jersey, and I have a question regarding the head coach position.
Sure.
So I noticed a lot of the times in recent NFL modern history, a lot of the times the head coaching positions will be filled by more analytic-based coaches, like an offensive-minded coach, like the Adam Gase, for example. But a lot of the times, these teams are forgetting that you have to be a leader first to be a head coach. So I think that's being overlooked when hiring head coaches. So I'm kind of tired of these offensive-based, defensive-based coaches, and I'm really looking for a leader for the New York Jets. Like, how about like a Rex Ryan? Bring back Rex. Oof. Or someone like that. Someone that the players want to play for, and it would be easier to sign free agents and so on. Let me know what you think. Thanks.
You lost me at Rex, but I understand the thought of bringing in someone who can oversee everything. Matt Campbell, PJ Fleck, those are two really good examples at the college route. Pat Fitzgerald was a name that was brought up earlier. Bill Cowher, like those kind of guys who can oversee everything. So I get that logic, especially after swinging and missing with Adam Gase. But I wouldn't necessarily shy away from just offense because he hired a really bad offensive guy. But it wouldn't shock me if the Jets went in a different direction, and went for the more overseer of everything. So that's going to do it for me on this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I am Matt O'Leary. Subscribe, rate, review wherever you get this episode. Really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you next time.